Hey, what's up? My name's Lucas. I'm a photographer and filmmaker based out of West Michigan. Welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about scanning 35mm and 120mm film at home. So there's a lot of different processes that you can use on how to scan your negatives and digitize them. Camera scanning is my preferred method of scanning. It's a really quick workflow if you get it dialed in correctly. This is part of a playlist that I'm going to be putting together on how to develop, scan, and edit start to finish your film photos. So if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when I post those videos. Why did I choose camera scanning as my preferred method? Well, it's fast and it's efficient, and I really like the results that I got. Personally, I landed on the negative supply system. So I bought my negative supply scanning setup a couple years ago when I decided to take home developing and scanning really seriously. 2 years later, I'm still using it. I'm still loving it. All you need to scan is something to hold a camera and a macro lens, something to hold the film, a film carrier, and a light source. Let's start with the light source. That is going to make a huge difference in your actual image quality. I bought the Negative Supply 4x5 95 CRI light source, super bright and super even. So I can shoot at f8 and be around ISO 100 to 200 and have a really fairly fast shutter speed. On top of that, I have Pro Mount, and what that does is it keeps my film carrier in the exact same spot and it masks out the light so you're not getting bleed onto your negatives. On the mount, I've got the 35mm Pro Carrier Mark 1. I have the full border inserts for my film carrier, but I've tried them a few times and the negatives fall out and it's kind of become a pain to use, so I decided to ditch that, even though it would be kind of nice for archival purposes for my digital. If anything ever happened to my negatives, it's not worth the added workflow with the Mark 1. I also have the Pro 120 film carrier. Both of those carriers are made out of like solid metal and they probably outlive me. They're something that you can just buy and feel confident that it's going to last for a very, very long time. On top of my 35mm film carrier, I have the scanning hood, and that's just to cut out any light in the room, or you can get away with just scanning in a dark room. For the stand, I got the Pro Riser Mark II because that was the top of the line at the time that I was buying my kit. Negative Supply was kind enough to actually send me the Mark III version of the Pro Riser, and so that's what you see back there in my setup right now. And I've got to say, I was happy with my Mark II. The Mark III, it is a huge upgrade. Just the ease of use. It's sturdier, it's taller. The height markings on the side are really, really convenient. It's got a little window that you can see how tall your camera is at, so you can then add it, like make sure that you are at the exact same spot each time. The head that you mount your camera to is significantly better. I really enjoy that, and I like that it's all on one flat surface. It's got its own level table that it sits on, and it is super sturdy. It's really easy to level out. Ultimately, a much smoother workflow using this riser than it was using the Mark II, and I was perfectly happy with the Mark II, and I'm really thankful that they sent me this riser. It's going to get a lot of use. On the riser, I have my LEICA SL2 with my 100mm macro Leica R lens with the 1:1 adapter on it so that I can get the full magnification of my negatives. That has been a great camera. You don't need to have a Leica camera or 50 megapixel camera to scan your negatives. What I love about the SL2 is it's got the Leica Photos app, which is really convenient to use, and I can connect to it really simply and pull the shutter on it. And a lot of camera apps can be really finicky. The Leica Photos app is definitely not perfect, but it's one of the better camera apps that I've used, and so that makes the workflow and the process really, really nice. So on that, I've got bubble levelers on the mount, and I have bubble level on my camera. It's super important that you have everything flat. You can also use a mirror, and when the lens is just perfectly centered, then it's flat to the surface. I also keep a rocket blower right next to my scanning setup, and that's just to eliminate dust. That's all of the equipment that I have and use for it. Again, you don't need all of that to get good scans, but it is really helpful, and it does take less than 2 minutes to scan an uncut roll of 35mm film, which is pretty impressive. Just go through and take those pictures. Make sure that you have the border of the negative visible, because that's where you're going to be pulling white balance from on your color negative. Super simple to convert the negatives. I use Negative Lab Pro. It is a Lightroom plugin, and once I put it in there, I just white balance it out, make sure that none of the border is showing and it's just all the image, and then I will convert the negative from there. And after that, you get like a nice negative that is fairly balanced. I'll do some minor tweaks in Negative Lab Pro, and I'll export it as a TIFF and make any adjustments that I need to after that. So that's my film scanning process at home. I'm not going super in depth about converting. That's going to be coming in a later video. If you are still watching and you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. It really does make a difference, and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified of my videos in the future. And I will see you guys in the next video.